Greetings and salutations, one and all. Happy Hump Day for those that practice the religion of Hump Wednesdays. Cheers. Yes, it looks very far away, but this is a epic warhound. Back onto it. I have just uploaded all the. Hey, hello, Cord. Greetings. Hello, buddy. I have literally just, well, sprayed it. But yes, so, and I've just updated the settings as well. So, but as you can see, it is a original scale warhound. And for comparison, might as well do this now. This is the modern day equivalent. So quite a lot of difference. So the weapon loadout, I believe that is a turbo laser, and that is an Inferno gun. So not the same loadout as this chap, but that's what we're dealing with. Scowl. Literally, it was a decision I made at the weekend. I was looking at my little arrangement of original Adeptus Titanicus models, and I had got 2 Reavers and a Warlord. I haven't got any Warhounds, and I just thought, sod it. So I went to eBay, found one that was, you know, looked reasonable price, came with a base, and ordered it. So arrived this afternoon, hence painting it today. But yeah, so standard Warhound. They also used to do like plasma weaponry as well, but I can't remember if the weapons were interchangeable. He says that, but basically, hey Maris. I suppose I could have stuck in plasma, but I'll keep with what I've got because they're glued in place and primed. So with they came with Reavers that I've got. Right. So yeah, I literally just took it out a few minutes ago, sprayed it all. I've actually, while I'm here, I better do the old social stuff. Because how else am I meant to do anything without doing that? How are you anyway, you two? What are you up to? And where are your plans for this evening? I saw your other your post there. Right, what was I doing? Yeah, sorry, I was got distracted by your post on Twitter. Glad to make the stream for once. Been suffering from the weakness of the flesh for a while. Well, it's always welcome to have you here. There's always a space for you here. Do you know where I can find a certainty of strength, perhaps? Do you know where I can find a certainty of strength, perhaps? It's out there somewhere. And I'm sure that once I find it, I'll pass on the information. Just finished some of the shin armor plates and the Warhound. 8 more to go till he's ready to walk. Yeah, I just saw the pictures there. It's looking rather good so far. So well done with that, Marius Cage. Right, yeah. I keep getting distracted by everything. I do apologise. It's been a long day. I'm trying. Last one, I think. That'll do, pig. That'll do. Alright, that's it. Done. It's all good. I'm just glad to be here for some vibes more than anything else. Well, that's cool. It's nice and cool compared to the past few days. Yes. Right. Getting the urge, he says. So I'm actually getting some reference pictures up on the old computer armor. Well, Right. Not that one. We want that one. As always. Yes, enjoying the British rain up here too. Much my preferred weather. Absolutely ready. Back on there. So this is the exhaust jet exhaust from Vallejo. That's what I've been using on the majority of my Titans recently, or the various metallics. Their metallics, they are really good. You know, despite all the problems they've had recently in this year, especially with all the strike action because they weren't paying their staff properly, etc., etc. They do make really good paint on the metallic side of things, anyway. I have come to see the cute doggo. Well, the cute doggo is here. Here it is. The paints work really well. So as you are obviously aware, I wasn't streaming at the weekend because I was up in Nottingham at Warhammer World for the week. Well, for Friday night, Saturday morning. Well, Friday night, Saturday, basically, because it was Crystal's birthday celebrations. And it was all planned to go up to Nottingham, play some games in Warhammer World. Managed to get a table, which was going to be one of the AOS ones, but I was offered 2 tables, and this one was the least. It was something I could work with. Because it had like little 2 mausoleum buildings on there which looked very similar to AT Scowl buildings, and I was taking my stuff down with us as well, so I could actually put that out and get that, you know, utilize that. But luckily, the lovely little chap up there, Logan Proudbeard, on his Instagram. He's one of the guys that looks after the gaming hall. He came over and said, like, what are you doing? I said, well, this is the only table they offered me. I did tell them we was playing AT, but this is the only one we could get. And he's gone, well, there's a Legions Imperialis table down there. I'll just check for you, see if it's free. Otherwise you can go on there. It makes more sense. I mean, well, yeah, it does. But I was told there was no tables available, and these were the only 2 that was offered. So I went, all right, leave it with me. So he's gone off. Once he returned, he said, yeah, you can get on there. Go on, it'll be much better for you. I went, but yeah, talks to everybody. So it's awesome table set up for Legions Imperialis. So nice arrangement of buildings, etc., etc. And yeah, I've done a intro game for Curacy and husband Joe on. What did I play? I played Adeptus Titanicus. Well, I didn't play. I done a demo game, well, intro game basically. They played a full game, but I did. I didn't include Legio rules. I did include Maniple rules because they were both playing Axioms. Normally, when I do an intro game, I do a Venator sort of Maniple. So basically, 2 Warhounds, 1 Reaver. But I knew that Chrissy, Curacy on Instagram, and hubby, they would want to blow shit up. So I went full Axiom Maniple for a pair of them. Balanced it out as best I could. Also, to make it a little bit easier, I included that they had rangefinders upgrade on their Titans and gyroscopic stabilizers for the warlords, so they had a better arc for their warlords. We went to 4 turns. It was initially quite one-sided. Like Joe is former military, so he's quite tactical with his approach to games and stuff like that. So it did, like, he managed to take out a Reaver first turn. So all of his Titans were like managed to get shots onto this one Reaver in particular. Chrissy had set up a little bit. Well, she spread out, which is a legitimate thing to do. He had more terrain to hide behind, so he basically centralised his stuff, so he didn't really go over the halfway line. Yeah, he took out that one turn, took out a Warhound in the second turn, did damage to the other and the other Reaver. Third turn, took out the other Warhound and tried to take out. Tell a lie. Second Warhound. Sorry. So at this stage, third turn, they had taken out a Reaver and Warhound. At this point, because of where she deployed her Warlord, it was too far over to one side, because I think she deployed. I remember she deployed that first, so he deployed everything away from it. So it sort of took her out of the battle effectively for a couple of turns. But she'd been pushing reactors to move it closer, which you did eventually get within firing. Well, the volcano cannon's one thing. Maximum fire on a Sunfu Plasma Annihilator is something completely different. So she managed to get that closer to do that, but she did get to a stage where the last Reaver survived a turn, and basically it went down at the end. So I think it was the start of the fourth turn. So it took a lot of hammering. It had like a hit point or so left, but it finally went down in the start of the fourth turn. Third turn. Start of the third turn. So yeah, that was it. So he took out Reaver in first, Warhound, and then badly damaged the other Reaver. On the left-hand flank is where the other Warhound was, which had gone surging up as fast as it can, using the cover to get up close. It come out at the start of the fourth turn, right in front of his Warlord. And so they've done orders, and she was going to go first fire. I went, what are you talking about first fire? You're in charge range. Seeing a Warhound go up against a Warlord is something that it's not a fair matchup, to be fair, to be absolutely fair. But she got the charge order. She got the charge. Got into close combat. So she had D3 plus 4 because it was 12-inch charge he managed to get. It was literally right on the nose. So she got 6 attacks in, done quite well, got several hits. Only managed to do 1 point of damage though, because obviously strength 6 against that unhurt thing. Now, the thing is, it came round. So she got on a charge. The warlord had fired at it, and it lost some shields or whatever. It didn't really matter. But it got to the repair phase, and her warhound Megusa was in a very dangerous reactor situation, because she had been pushing to get there, sort of thing, and hadn't managed to repair it. So she had to roll on the reactor roll, and she rolled a 10. Which is catastrophic meltdown. So she managed to get some more damage onto that particular beast. But it takes a lot to take out a warlord. But yeah, she managed to scratch it a bit more before. So she was undamaged. She still had shield. It's just her reactor was too far gone, and she went poop, and a little nuke in front of his face, which was a very Megusa thing to do. But that's the thing. It's like you're not in a good position. It's like 5 against 2. So that happened. But the warlord basically obliterated one of the Reavers, and it went nuclear and took out one of the hounds, and badly damaged the other one. So this was like a first fire type thing. So it did a lot of damage in that last turn. It was able to actually sort of get some vengeance. I was happy for Chrissy to have actually got 8 engine kill, but she got at least, I think it was 2 engine kills. She might have got 3. It was a bit of a blur. it was too much. I was showboating. But yeah, it was. They both had a lot of fun, and they went off to because they've got some Titans at home, and they was going to go and do some work on the set of Titans to get them into a standard in order to utilize them in a battle at some point, maybe against me. Who knows? We will see. Right. So I'm going to do this as Leger Ignatum. Kind of rude not to. Should have done a live stream from the bar. At the bar, I was too busy eating. I ordered too much. We need to learn at some point. Yes. Hello, Gretang, you sneaky little devil, you. Greetings. How are you, buddy? You Warcrafting it, or you hobbying? What are you up to? Might not be fair, but it's fun. Yeah, exactly. In those situations, it's fight or flight, and you might as well just go for it, because why the hell not? I'm warcrafting it. I'm tired after moving stuff to the house today. Nearly in now. Ah, cool, dude. Soon you'll be able to settle down and enjoy your home, your new home. Nice. And Amelia had a good time for her birthday, yeah? Right now, I'll have to make do with my 40k warlord, trying to get ready for the walk on for the 27th. Where was that walk again you're going to? You had a good time. Excellent. It's all that matters, dude. She's been having a look at Gundam. She hasn't tried building it yet. Ah, well. I didn't go straight into it. I bought one and had it for probably a couple of weeks before I actually got the nerve to actually build it. But since then, no turning back. Although I still have a few kits I haven't actually touched that I've had for a while. The one I won last year is still mocking me from its vantage point on the shelves. Is the music okay levels, or am I coming through okay? That's thought I better ask, because if I don't know. Both fine. Yep, excellent. The settings must have worked. Yeah, so in the old scheme, like the leg parts, armature were red on Igniton, and they had black parts, so the shin guards in particular. But I've never actually owned an epic scale warhound, so this is my first. First go at one. I did it. It had been built. I did pull it apart and reposition it because the position was a bit, well, uninspiring. So I had to adjust it. So using Evil Sun's Scarlet on these parts. I keep wanting to pick up AT Warlord to do for Ordo Sinister. Well, you can get them from Thingy. I think they cost about 100 quid because of the extra resin parts to make it a Ordo Sinister. But they look the fucking bollocks. Pardon my French. so in the Siege of Terror book Mortis by John French, they did actually, well, in that they actually said that they had Reaver scale Sinister Titans as well as warlords. It was just, there was made a big thing about warlord ones, and that there was only like 20 odd of them. So that was something, to say the least. I think the Emperor asked for Mars to give to him or donate to him, or 24 or 25 of them for him to work on in his labs, and he produced them. So only the Emperor knows how to produce Psi Titans, or he might have gave the Mechanicum the ability to do it, but obviously there's not been a lot more since. Reference. Oh. Yep. Could be just 20 specialised with various auxiliary units. Now, I think they specifically said that they were Ordo Sinister. What symbolises them is that they're all piloted by pariahs. So, but they didn't mention that. They just said they obviously walked in and everyone just felt the sudden feeling of dread, because there wasn't that many people that knew of their existence. Dawn only really found out about them prior to the battle at the Mercury Exultant Wall. But no, I want more Titans. Just check on reference material. Yeah, that's fine. Right. Give that a rinse. Although saying that, I should really do the weapons because we're doing it as the old style are painted. So that means these bits here are painted red. What I will try and do in a moment do I have any tips for weathering Titans? So, right. So with the big old dudes, the one thing that the majority of us in the Titans Owners Club utilise is, now you might have to go down a different route, but there's there used to be a floor polish called by Pledge floor polish, and you used to be able to apply that via a airbrush to coat your Titan after it's been painted. So you can obviously buy it a lot cheaper than other floor products used. But then after that you use oil weathering. So you mix up, you get some oil paints, so like burnt umber, one of the many various blacks that you can get. Personally, I also add a little bit of indigo into it, and you make like a brownish slurry. You add it with white spirit, and you mix it up, and then you just blomp it all over your bits that you're painting. So metallic, metal, and all that sort of stuff. And then you let it dry a bit, and then you rub it off using obviously wearing rubber gloves or surgical gloves, latex gloves if you're not intolerant to them, with white cloth, and you just rub off the majority of it as it's dried. So the varnish, which you could probably use normal sort of spray varnishes, but I'd probably give them like a couple of coats just to be certain, because white spirit doesn't actually affect acrylic paints, but after all that work you don't want to fuck it up. So yeah, you just basically just rub it off, clean it clean, use a clean bit of the cloth, same again sort of thing. So that will actually just colour and distort the colour of the actual piece, and will give you that grungy, oily, dirty look, especially to the metals. So that's what the vast majority of the Titan Owners Club utilise. So I do it on my armour plates and stuff, on my Titans, apart from Iracundus, because he was painted by somebody else, and I'm not going to do that to that beautiful Titan. But yeah, so that's what you would do. With Pledge, I'm not sure if it's the same this was from a couple of years ago, so I'm not sure if this same formula. But you're part of the Titans Owners Club on Facebook as well, aren't you? Because if you are, you can always ask a question in there, and people have more updated versions. That's what I always use, because I've still got some of the pledge. It's in a bag just over there with my oil paints and that. So you literally just make like a very, like, you know, water. You mix it, as I said, with white spirit, because the white spirit, as it dries, is going to evaporate to get the pigment onto the actual thing. But it allows you to sort of you know, rub it clean off with that. But yeah, test it out. Always use like mineral spirits as well, so it's not so smelly. But yeah, it will it alters the colours and darkens down, and you know, oil, you know, makes it look a bit more grubby. Is what you know. No Titan really should be like, you know, parade ground, clean and tidy. That's an insult. You want it to be used and abused, killing the enemies. But yeah, I even used that same method for my AT Titans, the ones that I did oil weathering on. So my Legio Solario, it looked really good on, because it toned the colour down just enough, so it actually looked more like the artwork. Because initially my green method, which I've got the tutorial on my channel, made it a lot brighter, but the oil weathering will sort of dullen it down, dirty it up and discolour, and to actually, so if you do go too bright, the oil weathering will tone it down. Yeah. Now there, Judge. How are you, buddy? So this is what we've got so far. We've got the reds locked in. Here's reference material again. Right. So let me find. Painting some very small Morax Armigers myself. All's well and good, Sarah. Yes, those little buggers. They're so small. So teeny tiny. Did you have fun assembling them though? Little buggers. Yeah. Interesting. Oh, hello. There, Emperor Stokes. And how are you? I was wondering when I'd speak to you. I was expecting to see you at Russ Boy's birthday shindig, but you was not to be seen. Hiding, no doubt. How you been keeping? You alright? Hot and tired, yeah, I was really hot today. Yeah. Well, it was nice nice night. Even I had a nice time. Yes, we are painting an old school Titan. Copying the artwork from a sort of like epic Space Marine era. Pardon me. So, apart from bunking off from birthday parties, what have you been up to? Loving the music. This is one of the many sort of tunes. There was on YouTube. It's I think, where is it? Yeah, so it's a channel called Athena 4, and that's the Roman 4. So it's IV. So that's who I sort of look up for this sort of tunes. They do all sorts of fantasy. This is Rest a While Anubis, which I thought was appropriate as we had a war day. Also gives vibes for like Dune a little bit, which I appreciate. go back to my reference picture. So I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm alright. After a busy week last week, it's nice being able to actually sit down and paint with an appropriate level of temperature and comfort. There's one thing that's really hard to do when it's really hot is paint, because your paints dry excessively fast. So, I'll say it's no fan on. Last few nights it's had a fan on. Like even last night, like 10 o'clock at night, I got the fan on. But yeah, we are utilising old photographs from probably White Dwarf and stuff like that. With the base, I'm keeping it with my modern style basing, because that's what I do for Titans. They all get the same base. You get the same base, you get the same base, you get the same base. So that uniform look. Same here, didn't sleep a wink last night, too hot. What's inspired the nostalgia? Well, basically the other day I was literally just looked. I've got on one of my shelves, I've got my old Titans. So I painted one on here earlier in the year, which was a Reaver Titan. Well, there's actually two of them I painted on here. Two Reaver Titans, because I had two Reaver Titans of the old style. I also have, I've got another, I do actually have another Warlord somewhere, thinking about it. So I could do something with that as well, which I really should do. So I painted up one Warlord as Legio Ignatum, because it was based on a picture from Space Marine, or Epic, one of them. And the reason why I'm painting this one up, because I was thinking about what Legio to do, but the reason why I'm painting this one up as Ignatum is because I did post up earlier on today on Instagram a size comparison between an AT Ignatum Warhound and one of my bigger Warhounds, and it's basically both of them were the same Titan, but in small and big form. So if you're on my Instagram, you can see it on there. And I was wondering what Legio to paint this one up, and I literally just thought, well, what would be cool is if I paint it up as the Ignatum version, and then I post a picture tomorrow with the three of them together. So that's the theory. That's what I'm going with. So you can see evolution. I do like that sort of thing. Yeah, sleep has been elusive for a lot of people. Ooh, let's go back to things I can actually read properly. Cool. Get my mind thinking of a backstory you could create for an entire Lost Legion coming out of the myths to save their descendants. I've often had that thought on many occasions. I've even pitched it to some of the author friends that I know. You know, imagine like having, you know, throughout the Great Crusade, there were elements that went missing, got lost in the warp or whatever. Well, what about if they suddenly appeared one day? And you go, "Hi guys, remember us?" So that's the thing in the current timeline, you've kind of got some of that actually happening in the fact that one of the legions, the first legion, in fact, the Dark Angels, their Primarch, Lionel Johnson, he went missing at the end of the heresy because he returned home, found out that a lot of his, as they call them, sons, it's like his legion, had sort of gone traitor, and they opened fired on them, and a massive fight kicked off between the loyalists and the traitor ones, and the battle was so intense. So obviously you've got ground forces, you've got orbital bombardments going off. It actually split the planet into a million pieces, went full on Alderaan basically. But out of that, their fortress monastery, a large chunk of that it was still attached to, survived. He had all these really awesome like shields and shit, as you do, you know. But as he was having the battle against his former brother who turned against him, his brother basically had been tainted and granted powers, and he'd done like a psychic mind bomb, and it put the lion into like a comatose state. Luther, who was his brother, well, his real brother, but you know, brother, that sort of brother. His mind broke over it. He got captured, and he's been in a cell for 10,000 years, almost. And the lion's body was sort of disappeared. And so the Dark Angels had been going around because they didn't want anybody to know that half their legion had turned traitor. Because what happened is at that sort of time, all the traitor dudes that were on their home planet got zipped away through time and space, like through the warp, through something happened. Someone went boom, scattered them, and they turn up every now and again. And the first thing that most Space Marines do is to, you know, find out who's in charge and take charge themselves if there's no one there to take over. And they would go out and forge little empires and stuff like that, little kingdoms. And when the Dark Angels find out that there's some huge dude wearing black armor is taking over things in certain places, they will basically abandon whatever they're doing and head there straight away, because they want to capture these individuals, question them, check them off the list of names that they've got, and basically offer them, you know, if you confess, we'll give you the Emperor's Peace, sort of thing, and you know, if you don't, we'll just keep on torturing you, to hide this dark shame. But they've been doing that for many, many millennia. All of their successor chapters are all linked together under the same purpose. The heads of each chapter know the dark secret, and they do likewise. They hunt down what they call the Unforgiven, and they've been doing that, and they've been doing that quite successfully for many thousands of years. Apart from Cypher, who's like the main one. So you go to the modern timeline, and the lion has awoken, and the first person he sort of meets up with is a fallen Space Marine of the Dark Angels, and it's interesting. I'm not going to go any further because people might not know the whole backstory, but it's a book called Lion, Son of the Forest by Mike Brooks. It's really good. I really enjoyed it because being in this hobby for so long, the fall of Caliban and the breaking of the Dark Angels, which basically, the loyalist Dark Angels are loyalists, but they've been holding this secret for so long that nobody knows of. They know that their planet was blown up and that the lion was lost, sort of thing, but they don't know the full ins and outs. And the Dark Angels have been trying to keep a hold and a lid on this thing. They've actually killed loyalist forces because they've come into contact with one of these individuals. They're so paranoid about this secret getting out. And that's what has been their driving force for 10,000 years. So, as I said, like, they could be an integral part of some battle plan to defeat a chaos incursion. They get wind that there's a fallen somewhere. Those Dark Angels are gone. They will basically just fucking pick up their bags and fuck off without a buy your leave or, yeah, I'll catch you later. Oh, we'll be back in a minute. We're just going down the road for a pack of cigarettes. They're gone. You don't see them again because they've gone there, and to hunt down these fallen. Yeah, but they call themselves that. They don't advertise the fact. That's the thing. It's like in the whole sort of like thing, like as a reader of the lore, yeah, I know. But if I was a character in that thing, I wouldn't know that. You know, the whole thing with like Space Marines is that there's not that many of them when you think of like there's a million worlds out there in the Imperium. You know, Space Marines are myths, and that's if you're lucky. If you see a Space Marine, there's usually some sort of big shit going down. Unless you are on one of their homeworlds, one of their sort of recruitment worlds sort of thing. Then you kind of know about them because they recruit said individuals into the Legion. But apart from that, most of humanity never gets to see them, never gets to meet them, and you probably don't even know of their existence. But like, you know, there was another example, because basically the whole paranoia thing with the Dark Angels. So, because I know you don't really know much about the whole like 40k thing, right? So before the 40k, there was the time of the Emperor. When the Emperor comes along, the super being, he's united Earth, brought them out of the Dark Age, enlightenment is ensued, and they've gone to reclaim all the lost colonies of Earth, or Terra as it's known. And he creates 20 legions with 20 Primarchs. During the time of the Great Crusade, because the Primarchs also got scattered by the fell powers of chaos, because they thought, hold on a sec, this dude's got a real like fucking good idea, and he's got the tools to back it up. Let's fuck him up. And so they raided his thing. They couldn't kill the Primarchs, so they scattered them through the warp, and they turned up at random places on different planets. And for the next 200 years or so, or next quite a while, the Emperor finds these individuals where they pop up. Because again, when a Primarch turns up, they grow quite quickly-ish, but are super intelligent, super strong, super fast, all that sort of shit. And they generally, the vast majority of them, will end up as being a planetary lord of said planet, apart from one who's the Primarch of the 12th Legion, the World Eaters, who goes by the name of Angron, because he got captured and they installed this brain thing, so called the Butcher's Nails. So he was thrown into gladiator pits, and the brain thing was slowly killing him, but it was a form of control, and they was able to imprison him that way, and he grew up as a slave. So he didn't take over. He did lead a rebellion, much like Spartacus. But that all went tits up as well. But the vast majority of them took over their planets in one form or another. Some of them may have took over several planets. One of them took over star systems because he was really quite good at what he did, diplomacy as well as fighting and organisation, basically. And where he grew up, there was a nice little, conglomerate of worlds that were on level pars and hadn't been separated as badly as other worlds, because basically humanity, when they went out into space, set up colonies, they're all connected. There was a big hoo-ha on several occasions. There was the machine war, the battle against the Iron Men, as they were called, which didn't help humanity that well, but they survived that. And then there was like a situation where psychics were being born into humanity, and they are gateways for the warp to enter into reality and cause shit. And that was the collapse of the golden age of humanity and went into the dark age sort of thing. Old night, as it's referenced, the dark age of technology. So for several thousand years it was all cut off, and then when the Emperor finally emerged and reunited Terra, and then made a pact with Mars, because Mars had evolved as sort of a technological utopia sort of thing, and between the two of them they went out and started reconquering the galaxy, and as they went around they found the Primarchs. So there was a great mystery, because at some point before all of the Primarchs had been found, two of them went rogue and ended up being basically killed, and their legions dispersed. So we don't know what actually happened, but we do know that one was considered to be lost, one was considered to be forgotten. There was a big thing where it's speculated that one of them got possessed by Xenos manipulations or something, and fought against people, and he was purged by Layman Russ, or Rust. So Layman Russ, who is the Primarch of the Space Wolves, who is considered, the Space Wolves are considered to be the Emperor's executioners. So when somebody needs to be removed, they send in the Space Wolves, because they'll do the job and they're very loyal to the Emperor. So yeah, but it's still, not everybody knows, and no one's allowed to talk about them. They keep on getting sort of mentioned, the 2nd and the 11th legions, but we don't know what their names were, what the names of the legions were, where they were from, or anything, because originally when they done this sort of thing, they deliberately left out two of them, so people making armies could say, oh, I'm the 2nd Legion and I'm the 11th Legion, and they are called the Space Hamsters, and we go around hamstering our way around the universe and being a little bit sleepy at times, as you do as a space hamster. And yeah, so they've done it as a creative thing for people, but people aren't like that really. They want to know what's what, and why are these two being removed and exterminatus or whatever, expunged from Imperial records. And it's gotten to a point where they've basically said, we can't bring anything out in reference to the 2nd and the 11th legions, because it's gone too far now, and whatever we put out, there'll be such a sort of uproar about, oh, we don't like this sort of thing. So they don't, and they won't. Whether or not that will change in the future, who knows? But that's it. They don't, and they won't. So we just have to put up with it and deal with it. But that's basically it. Because those two legions got purged because of what happened, there was an immense paranoia amongst the surviving legions, especially if something popped up that wasn't quite the norm. They would be paranoid that, oh no, we might get purged, and thus the Dark Angels didn't want anybody to know, because they didn't want to be purged. And you've got to bear in mind that at that time, the Primarch had been lost. So there was no, head honcho. It was only basically the lessers, the chapter masters. So you can expect them for being a little bit like, oh, we don't want to tell anyone, we'll get told off, and we'll be gotten rid of. So yeah, so paranoia was real. It's not like what happened with the White Scars. So the White Scar Legion did split, but the nature of the White Scars is somewhat quite different to a lot of the legions, and they basically just went with it. You know, they admitted, yeah, it wasn't. Well, some of them didn't realise what they were fighting for. They thought they were fighting for their Primarch and the realisation of something, but they hadn't realised that some of them had been sort of manipulated. So those ones that were found, that were basically when it all kicked off and they were all fighting each other, and the Khan, the Primarch of the White Scars, turned up and basically said, "What the fuck are you doing?" They're saying, "Oh, but we know what's best for you," and he goes, "Well, I know what's best for me, and what you're doing is not right, and I have always allowed you, you know, free will to do what you feel is right, but you can't speak for me," sort of thing. So what you're doing is wrong. Some of them fled, but the ones that hadn't fled and like thought, "Oh no, we were wrong," they were sent out into like punishment. They had to go out and prove their selves in order to reattain their honor. And those that did, you know, most of them died. They were given the real hard missions and all that sort of thing. But they did it because they realised they were wrong and they're making up and penance sort of thing. And some of them got some really fucking awesome, you know, endings sort of thing, you know. But that's how they dealt with it. And they were, you know, they didn't hide it. But the same mindset for a Dark Angel. If you had a Dark Angel and a White Scar, chalk and cheese sort of thing. Because their whole ethos and, you know, their whole background on how they are brought up and or indoctrinated into what they do and all that sort of thing. So yeah, so the Dark Angels were always a little bit not shifty. They just didn't tell you the full story, sort of thing, and they kept everything to themselves, and they just got worse and worse and worse over time, as you would expect. Right. I'm just going to see, it's getting cold. I'm going to close the door now. Better. Right. Reference. A little bit I may have missed here. I've done a big shift. Well, you can chill and relax with the rest of us. You ever thought of writing your own novel? I think you could write something great. I have written stuff. Like I do actually have like the early. It's basically like the early history of my Titan Iracundus. So it's a selection of shorts um, that I did from its birth up until the events of the Horus Heresy, well, the Battle of Terror. Um, and if you want to find out what happens to Iracundus, you must buy the book Echoes of Eternity, written by Aaron Dembski Bowden, because he kindly put Iracundus into the story. So he's named in it. There's a couple of scenes where you see him, and he has crew that are named. They don't speak, but they are named. And yes, so there's 2 chapters where you see them in the story as it's unfolding. Right, sorry, reference material. But yeah, so I did do some righty stuff. But thank you very much. It was very nice of you to say, sir. How are you, Anton? I'm assuming your shift was work related, not like hobby related, or was it hobby related? I have to pop off now. Take care. You too. Look after yourself, buddy. I hope to see you again at some point. Right. I want my crack blue. Skeleton blue. So this little fuel bottle. I don't like. There's 2 examples. One's got the normal sort of chevron, and the other one's got the zigzag. Now, I'm not going to be able to do a zigzag. I'll tell you that for stars. So we are going to go with chevron. No! You haven't seen the zigzags on there. Chevrons is fine. Chevrons is perfectly fine. It looks wonderful on this. It looks fantastic. I'm not doing zigzags because my bigger dude hasn't got zigzags. I want it just to be a representation of that. So no. You're not Nigel. Only Nigel has the power to compel me. Bugger. Oh yeah. Stargate chevrons. Chevrons locking in. And I need to make a trade tomorrow. Trade what? Are you swapping stuff, or are you what are you trading? Ooh, get my fingers out. Get trapped. Alright. Yeah. Thank you very much, dude. One tries. Trading in my Sons of Horus army for lots of cafe. Ah, fair dues. Worth it. If that's what you're after, then do it. If you're not getting joy from the Sons of Horus, try something new. Some vouchers when the rest of the range comes out. Yep. Yeah, again, I used to do similar. So doing that just to get the stuff that you need for your army, for your projects. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. all legitimate. So we're just adding Nuln Oil onto the metallics. Also the blacks in this case, because I want it to be a little bit darker without going mental with the Abaddon black. This is quite tidy. I'm gonna give it some blow. Alright. Oh, one thing I did get at White World is that I was given a little gift from Joe. Which is that. It's been laser cut into this piece of wood. The Titanicus symbol, or the Collegia Titanicus. Joe was also did me my Forge of Mars thing when a few years ago now actually. He's on Instagram as the Ingenorium, but he does all this sort of stuff. And this it's just lovely just to have like a little symbol. I really do love that. And it's just something I was just working on, and I just thought, who better to give it to than you? So I accepted it gracefully and let him play with my plans. And I had a great time with him and Chrissy. Just such a good laugh. Right, so we need some Agrax, loving. Some bits of Agrax. I also need more Agrax, good. Where is... Ah, there it is. Which I was looking for Mechanicus Standard Grey. We'll do the base quickly whilst things are happening. Yes, excellent. So that's happening there. This is watered down Agrax over the reds, especially on these muzzly bits as well. And little twos. More leggy picks. You've got to give them something on the reds. Give them some more hairdryer action. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. That's not what I want. But that is fabulous. Yeah. That's good. Right, let's see if I can actually do something with the settings of them. So that's how it's looking so far. We've just got to do some stuff on the base. I want to touch up the red again and the eyes in particular. Old style Warhound. blast from the past. So with this little chap, I've got to try and do a little circle on here, which is a yellow circle. So I'll get Corax out. So it's actually a big circle. That'll do, pig, that'll do. Because it has a Titan symbol on its leg, which has to be yellow as well, so... check out. Give that a blow as well. Need to head off. Pleasure to catch you as always, sir. Well, thank you very much, Kenneth. You're always welcome. Pop in, say hi, hang out, and all that jazz. I hope you have a great rest of the week, whatever you're doing, and I should see you on Saturday, if anything. I should. Yeah, I am here on Saturday. I hope I'm here on Saturday. No, I don't have any other plans. But yeah, hope you have a good time, and I'll see you around places, no doubt. Get you sitting in it. Gotcha, dude. Yes, indeed. What we got in here? Cherry Pepsi Max. We'll go with that. Nice. Ah, damn you! Oh, nice. Right, back to that. So what I've been doing for the longest time is basically you have one colour placed down, you wash over it with like Agrax or whatever, and then you hit it again with the same colour after it's dried, and it gives you a little bit more depth to the coloration and a little bit of highlight. So without going too cray cray. Nice, 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 nice. step out for side for a moment. Find a little one. That's nice and easy, if you say so. Hey, hello. Yes, cool old school Warhound indeed. It was gloss varnished because I've got to stick a decal onto here. How are you, buddy? What are you up to tonight? Gosh. So yeah, so we've gone all the way from start to finish, almost. Doing good and not working. Excellent. this is getting to the final piece of the puzzle. He says. No worries, thank you for hanging in and hanging out. I'm sure, obviously, I'll speak to you between now and later in the week. Well, I'll probably speak to you at some point tomorrow, I'm sure. So have a great evening, and thanks for hanging out with us. Much appreciated. I don't know what all these little crowny bits are for. That's the first time this has ever happened. So I don't know what they actually indicate. Ah, top fans. Oh, Kenneth. Ah, right. So Kenneth's got 150 XP. Gratag's in second with 100. And JS just turned up 75 XP. I believe it's probably to do with interactions. But yeah. Which is, yeah, it's odd because there was a few questions that Stokesy put in there. But yeah. You're always a top fan, and I'm a top fan of yours. Yeah. Easiest job I've had. Just sticking that on there. Oh. Let that settle. Oh man. There is a Demos Predator in progress now. The new HH kits are quite good. Yeah, to be fair, so I do have a few tanks because when I was doing my Alpha Legion, I did purchase several items which I haven't built. They're still in boxes, unopened. And I know I want some Predators. I I think it was the ones with the conversion beamers. That lot. But yeah, I haven't literally gotten round to doing them. I've got quite a few bits and pieces I need to get sorted out at some stage. But I say recently, obviously, the weather-wise hasn't been conducive for painting, so. Are you going to include that model in any of your current Titan Legios, perhaps as a rare prototype variant? No, this is purely for my little collection of Titans from the past. So this literally came about as when I was at the weekend. I looked at my little shelf with my Reavers and Warlord and thought, really should get a Warhound for the collection, you know. So I went onto eBay, found one that was reasonably priced, and ordered it, and it turned up today, and it's been painted and based and decaled. So because it's the size comparison, that's like somewhere between Cerastus. Well, actually, I will tell you because I've got Questoris. So it's the same size and not as chunky as a Questoris. So no pla on that front footprint of that thing. Mahusive. 2 secs. I was going to do that anyway so you could see them all. So this is an Ignatum Warlord. Old Beetleback. And Reaver Titan. Hey, dude. That's alright. It's one of those things, isn't it? Actually, because I lost the Quake gun that this had, and I've recently found the Quake gun, so I'm a bit peeved at that. Because I glued that in place so I didn't lose the weapon. Because that's the laser cannon. This is what would become the volcano cannon. So the Power Fist, Plasma Annihilator thing, and Apocalypse Launcher basically. With this one we got the Plasma Inferno gun and the Apox. So yeah, I did actually have one of these I could have used, but I just went with the ones it came with. So Inferno gun and Turbo Laser. Yeah, well, when you because you just missed out the fact that this guy is the same size as a Christoris Knight and not as imposing, really. I suppose, I don't know. You could consider it as a knight, I guess, but you know, when you put that up against it's no comparison. Actually, if I get the other one, because I have 2 Warhounds available here. I've got no other Titans apart from 2 Warhounds. Ibn Farouk. Teeny tiny. Teeny tiny. Which is, you know, that's the thing. It's like when they first started bringing these out and going, oh, we're using the old models with AT. There's no comparison, you know. And for what you buy in these, I paid sort of 16 quid for that, and obviously you can pay more. That was a cheap one. They're like, you know, normally like 25, 30 quid. Whereas you can, well, used to, the prices have gone up, but it was for like 35 quid you could get 2 Warhounds. And they are really quite awesome models. The Warhound is bigger than the Warlord. In recent news, Unflinching Steel is complete. Nice. Is that your Warlord? Yes. Ibn Farouk. So he's for Legion specifically, because I don't have any Legio Furions. And this one was not painted by me. This was, well, I instructed in how to paint this to Ivy, and she wanted to do Legio Vulturum, but Volcanum 2, which is the Lords of Ruin, because you have the Dark Fire, which is the most common one, which is the turquoise black, and Questoris Knight. It's the third time it's been visited. This is purely for nostalgia. So where I've got 2 Reavers. I have got another Warlord somewhere, which I'll paint up as a traitor one, I guess. I'll just do it as a Murder Lord, because that was the original Mortist scheme, which was black with red trim. Makes sense, because these were the ones on the front cover. So actually I might actually do some more to that at some stage, but you know, the weight of that, this weighs much, like this weighs the same as probably 3 of these, just because it's metal obviously, but tidy up around that. Right, let's put these out of the way, because I don't want getting paint on these. Put you away as well. Oh, Unflinching Steel was your Questoris Knight. Okay, sorry. They don't remember the Black Imperial. I remember the Green Warlord in the Armageddon class Warlord. It was painted up as green, but it was the Akhenaten Titan. He actually specifically says it was Akhenaten, but they used camouflage. Codex Titanicus wasn't Titan Legions unless they redid it, because Codex Titanicus was a supplement to Adeptus Titanicus, and that was the one that introduced the War Griffins. But the old mortar scheme went to Interfector. Yeah, the only Imperator I remember, because I didn't see Titan Legions, because that was literally when I moved into Basildon. I thought Titan Legions was later than that. But yeah, no, the old Ignitum, the green Armageddon pattern warlords were Ignitum. How big would Imperator be in a Titanicus scale? Right, so the official, or say, what Tony Cottrell told everybody at the Horus Heresy Weekender in 2018 was that, or it might be 2019. No, I think it was the one before it was released, so 2018. He said basically the Imperator Titan, as far as Forge World was concerned, was 3 times the height of a Warlord Titan. So in AT terms, 3 times the height of so basically 3 AT Warlords on top of each other is roughly the same height as a 40k Reaver Titan. So that was pretty much the reason why they haven't made an Imperator, because it would have been in resin and would have been several £100 because of the size. And like, although there would be people that would buy one, let's be honest, they would. It's a Reaver, so it's basically roughly 17/18 inches, because the height of a Warlord is, depends on how you pose it really, is roughly about just under 6 inches. So that's why when you see like the Titan Walk, Lee Goddenzilla's Imperator was based on that premise, that it's 3 times the height of a Warlord. Obviously artwork, you've got to bear in mind artwork isn't necessarily, and because it's Black Library versus Forge World based, it's their domain. They're the ones that came up, or specialist game, Tony Cottrell basically came up with Titans and stuff like that back in the days. So originally there was talk of like main battle Titans were between 80 to 100 meters. So obviously that was in the days when scale was just being grabbed out of it. So if you change that to a main battle Titan being a Warlord, the highest one, at 100 meters, if you change that 100 meters into 100 feet, that equates to around about 35 meters, which is the height of a Warlord Titan. So those old sizes, you should drop them from being meters into feet, basically, to get a rough translation. Now, in that, I think they did say Imperators were around about 140 meters. So that's roughly going to be, and in, what do you call it, in the Heresy series, it was mentioned that Dai's Eye-Ray was 43 meters tall, but Dai's Eye-Ray didn't have battlements. That's the thing that most people don't realise. It's that particular time at Isstvan, it didn't have battlements. It was 43 meters, because there's, when you look it up, it says ranges between 43 to 55 meters. But again, that's fluctuating. Forge World don't accept whatever Black Library writes as canon. It's only canon once they've done it. So we know that Warlords are 35 meters at rest. War Masters are, or whatever, 42 meters, I think. Imperators, we have no idea because they haven't done anything for them. I have spoken to somebody about printing off an Imperator, because, as I said, I don't think that they're going to make one unless there's some sort of dramatic shift, and they go, you know what, let's do it, let's build one, let's make it. But if they did, I'm sure that they would revise the scale, even because, like, obviously the size difference between an Imperator and a Warlord isn't that much, sort of thing. And in scale size, at scale 10 Warlord to a scale 12 War Master. So anywhere between scale 15 to 20. Now, I don't know how they do the scales, because obviously a Dire Wolf is bigger than a Warhound, but it still says scale 6. And that's to make it fit into the Audax history, lore. but that's a whole different argument, debate, and everything involving them lot. But yeah, there's basically whatever authors write in Black Library books, Forge World don't accept as canon. Although sometimes they might go, actually, that's pretty cool. So the rapier that was mentioned in Titan Death, which was a light scout Titan, so it was smaller than a Warhound, because people was asking in Titan, and when they brought out the Loyalist Legios and Traitor Legios book, they reference Scale 5 Titans. So Titans start from Scale 5 and Warhound is Scale 6. So there is something smaller. So that could be the rapier. And obviously they've mentioned loads. So yeah. I've got one painted. Is that was that the Battle Bling one, or the Warbreaker, or did you get like the Walking Cathedral, or did you get the one for the Titan Legions version of Imperator? So there you go. Warhound of the Legio Ignatum, circa Titan Legion stays, or beforehand. And that's what we're dealing with today. And I'm pretty happy I actually committed and got that. But yes, I think that's it for me for tonight. Work tomorrow. Fun, fun, fun. But yeah, back on Saturday for Saturday Night Reaver. Probably get on with some of the stuff I've got outstanding still. So I've still got, oh God knows, I've got Mechanicum stuff still sitting there, and kits to build, and also got Dystopian Wars, Armored Clash stuff to be getting on with as well. So yes, that'll do for today. So thank you all for popping in and hanging out. It's been lovely to have you here and chatting, and I shall see you all again on Saturday, hopefully. So until then, I hope you have a great time. So 8 PM Saturday GMT, and onwards. But until then, take it easy, happy hobbying, enjoy the rest of your week. Peace out, people. Thanks.